Hi! So today is my presentation on how one great party can change the world of women's fashion. Okay, great. So, to understand how you can change the world, you have to remember where you start. So, we start in the year 1900 when women wore underwear like this. Now, if you're looking at this photograph, you can see that she's wearing more clothing than most of us have on right now. But because it's underwear, they added a whole lot of other stuff, all listed there. But what you really need to know, it was constraining and inconvenient and really hard to ride your bike in. See, this lady, she can't even keep her hat on because it's so big. So yeah, awkward. Yeah, no fun. All right, well, meet the hero of our story, Paul Poiret. Paul Poiret was a fashion designer for the premier couture house in Paris at the time, year 1900. He worked for House of Worth. Okay, and being a fashion designer, he was always looking for inspiration and new ideas, and he started looking at these photographs that were coming out of the Middle, Near, and Far East, right? And in particular, he was fascinated with the kimono that Japanese ladies wore, because he's looking at that thinking, wow, that's amazing. That is some good-looking, cool stuff. And he saw like the kaftan and pant situation that Persian ladies wear, and he's like, wow, that's amazing, cool stuff. In fact, these ladies look so amazing in their cool stuff. It makes me wonder why my wife has to dress like this. What's that about? That's no bueno. Okay, so he gets inspired. Light bulbs go off. He starts, scrawling out ideas and working on things. And so one day at work at the House of Worth, a Russian princess showed up and commissioned an evening coat. Now, this is a Worth evening coat from the year 1900. This is sort of probably what she expected. So you've got sort of the droopy shoulders, really full skirts, garbage all over it, because if it's not covered in everything you own, it's not Victorian, right? All right, so cool. This is what she expected. She commissioned an evening coat. She wanders off, and Poiret says, hey, y'all, I have an idea. Let me do this. And they said, all right, cool, do it. So a couple weeks later, she comes back, and Poiret shows her a coat kind of like this. Whoa! Okay, that's different. It's got sort of a strong shoulder line, narrow skirts, asymmetrical details, and it's not covered in garbage. Wow! Okay, so we have a quote of what the princess thought, all right, for Poiret. Okay, so the next slide, I'm going to show you the words that the princess said. So when we go to the next slide, you get to say out loud in your best Russian princess accent what she thought when she saw the coat. Ready? Go. Oh, that's just awful. That's the worst thing ever. Oh, no good. All right. So, well, House of Worth says to Poiret, hey, man, no more of that crazy talk. And he said, you're right. You know what? No more of that. I quit. And he quit. And he started his own couture house, House of Poiret. Yay! Which is really a lot of work because nobody knew they needed this fashion, right? So he worked in a household and he did everything you could think of, and he started his couture house in 1902, and then by 1906 all the cool kids in Paris were like, hey, you know what, that kimono coat business, that's pretty sexy, and they're thinking this is really a good idea, and people started taking off the 300 petticoats, and maybe I don't need a corset all the time. Yeah, okay, that's good. All right, well, but Poiret had vision. He had more things in mind. So what do, right, when you're kind of at the top of your game and people are thinking things are cool? Well, how do you change things? Again, well, Poiret sent out invitations to Le Mille de Nuit, which is, in English, 1,002 nights. Well, everybody who was anybody in Paris got these invitations, and they were like, 1,002 nights? I know 1,001 nights. 1,001 nights is the night Scheherazade told stories to the Sultan so he wouldn't cut her head off. But what happened? Oh, 1,002? Wait, nobody knows what happened on the 1,000. Ooh, that's pretty tantalizing. Ooh, and it's a costume party. Ooh, that's cool, right? So if you got an invitation, rather, to this party, and then you showed up in your costume, you would be met at the door by a rather imposing-looking Poiret dressed as a sultan. And if he liked how you were dressed, you got to come in. And if he didn't like your costume, you were given two choices. You could change into the fashions he had there conveniently provided, or you could go home. Alright, well, alright, so you're standing there and you look and you smell exotic food and you hear exotic music and you can see all the cool kids and all of Paris out in the backyard having a great time dressed in exotic fashions, and that's actually photographed from the party, which is rad. Anyway, so, and you look and there's all these cool exotic Poiret fashions, which are really cool and slinky and silky and, well, okay, you changed clothes and you took off your corset, you took off your petticoats, you took off all that junk, and you shimmied into pants. Oh my goodness, if you're a girl, right? Boys already wear pants. Anyway, the point is, oh my goodness, this is the coolest thing they'd ever done ever. And so you went to this party and it was a fantastic party. It was the coolest party ever, right? There was music and dancing and food, but the most exotic part was right in the middle of the garden. There was this huge golden birdcage. And when the time was right, Poiret took a key from out of his pocket and unlocked the birdcage and escorted out his wife dressed as Scheherazade. And behind her came a whole harem of beautiful young ladies, models, dressed in the most gorgeous, glamorous, exotic fashions, his. And it was a huge sensation. Everybody loved it. And House of Poiret became enormously successful. In fact, so successful that everybody was stealing his designs. Everybody in all of Paris, I mean, this Poiret was the man, right? So what do you do? What do you do? Well, you start having fashion shows and publicity stunts, seen in that photograph there, and then you have the very first fashion photography shoot for the very, very first fashion magazine. There, that one, the lady looking exotic and sexy. Yeah, that's it. And then, what else is he gonna do, right? Well, so he started his own perfume line. What? Never been done. Never been done by Couture House. And if you look at that perfume bottle there, you'll see it doesn't say like Perfume de Poiret. No, it says an R. A beautiful monogram with no other words. He named it R. It's named Rosamund after his first daughter. Anyway, the point is no couture house had ever simply used an initial to describe their couture house. But I'll tell you a secret. All of them do now. All right, Poiret started it. Okay, and then he had chairs and curtains and bedclothes. In fact, you could have an entire Poiret lifestyle, and he became so powerful and influential. He was known as Le Magnifique because he was the Sultan of fashion in Paris. So, the point of the story is not only did Poiret establish the very first modern couture house, which is a pattern which couture houses still use to this day, but he pretty much single-handedly changed women's fashion from this to this, and he did it by throwing an amazing party. The end.